Just kidding, we got 5 minutes.
So let's see, to the October 20th Board of Selectmen's meeting. Let's see, the first thing on our agenda is approval minutes. September 15th. Regular Board of Selectmen, is there a motion to approve those minutes? So, motion to
Have you,
approve minutes.
the public comment period at the beginning?
We do approval minutes first.
Okay, thanks.
I move to approve the minutes of October 6, 2020.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next public,
Hi, this is Carolyn Nastro.
yes.
So I just would like to add to the record of the meeting that at the end for the connectivity report that you'll be discussing, that committee was formed at the request of the COG and Northwest Connect to funnel communicate Northwest Connect. And it's essentially operating as an operational arm of Northwest Connect. So I think that you should take any advice has given you with a grain of salt, in that its main purpose is to promote the entity that Northwest Connect that it's promoting in town. And the committee are actually paid by Northwest Connect as well. So I think when you evaluate anything that's being presented to the committee, I believe that a club and that it shouldn't even be reported to the BOS. But if you are going to accept it, I think it should be made clear to town residents what the committee is actually standing for.
Okay. All right, welcome everyone. Any other public comments?
Yes, this is Gary Steinkohl.
Yes, Gary.
I am the chair of the Cornwall Internet Expansion Committee that Carolyn Nastro just referenced. Over the last many weeks, our committee has sat by and allowed Carolyn to make her comments. She has continued to spread misleading, misinformation, and disinformation. In her comments just now, there is almost no factual basis, and urge the Board of Selectmen to discount and disavow what she is saying. The Cornwall Internet Expansion Committee is a group of volunteers who have come for the benefit of Cornwall. And it was we were formed coming out of the Cornwall Association Forum earlier in the year. Carolyn was a member of this committee, and up until this point, I have avoided saying this.
Actually,
but
this
she
is
was
going to be slander and
Okay,
libel.
vote of the entire committee
What you're about to
for cause,
like, very
including the spreading of misinformation and disinformation, including as well challenging members of the committee as being paid by the Northwest COG, which is wholly untrue, and further than that. So until this moment, I have, and the committee has stayed silent. I think it's appropriate at this point to make the Board of Selectmen aware of this
Selectman
issue.
Ridgway, I would
Thank
just
you.
like to interrupt a minute.
I think that we've had enough. And again, the purpose of this is just so people can do a brief public comment. Purpose of public comment is not to have a debate on issues between the board and the public or members of the public between themselves. So I think we get the gist. There's two different opinions on this issue, and we will talk about this again on item 10, and we have another public comment period on item 11. So again, our purpose of the agenda, a lot of things to go over tonight, and this is not a debate forum. But again, everybody's very interested, and I think the selectmen want to hear all points of view, but we're not going to get into back and forth at this time. Okay, so are there any other public comments? Okay, and anyway, we welcome everyone here. I think one of the maybe upsides to doing everything remote is get to see, interact with the board a little more than we did in the good old days. So Next, we have communications. I think my biggest communications is for people. I'm sure everybody is going to vote, but to encourage everybody to vote. Third, and that voting will happen at the Cornwall Consolidated School at the request of our election officials. We have moved it there. We anticipate a large turnout. There's already been probably a record amount of absentee ballots requested and returned here in town. Again, there's still time to register if you haven't voted. Also important people to know that the vote will happen at Cornwall Consolidated School starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to 8 o'clock at night on November 3rd. So again, we front and center encourage everyone to vote, register, do their part. So that's number one, communication.
Gordon, can you just remember what the deadline is for registering?
Yeah, I believe the deadline for registration is October 27th, and the registrars will have a session here at Town Hall to register, and people can register online by going to ct.gov and registering, and then they'll pick up on that here locally. We'll come to the registrars here. So that is important to know that there is a cutoff date of October 27th, and then and if anybody has any questions, we have hired extra people to work on the ballots, and I know our election people have been working every day on this. There has been, questions. Feel free to talk to the town clerk, Vera Janine, or the registrars whose contact information is on the website if you have any questions about voting. So, and actually our next meeting is on election night. So, anyway, add a little more suspense to the evening. Anything else on voting other than do it?
And the voting is in person. The voting is in the school, right? This year.
Correct. Yes, that's everybody's heading to CCS, and there'll be plenty of room there, and yeah, plenty of staff people to take to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible. But again, anticipate a little bit of a line there, and everybody has to again wear a mask and be socially distant, and we're taking all the proper precautions to make sure it's safe as possible. Second message is there's going to be no Halloween party this Halloween at Town Hall. The Park and Rec is doing working with the school to have some celebrations and events for the kids, but there will not be a Halloween party as normal at the school. Here at Town Hall, we don't have a party, and there are guidance for people we posted on the town website from the health district on how to do Halloween safely. So there are some creative ideas of how we can, with the limitations of safety that they recommend. Final communication I had was from our friends at the Transportation. They will be doing a lot of paving in the village of West Cornwall tomorrow. And again, we welcome the repair of 128, and we're glad that the state has done so much work and will continue to do work in Cornwall right up through the end of the paving season to do Route 43 after do this. So after years of not having any paving, we're certainly getting a good amount of work done, and we thank the decision makers at DOT for doing all this. So anyway.
So paving season is in the fall generally?
Well, no, they've just been working in Kent for summer, but they do some prep work, they have to redo all the basins and stuff. So generally it is a fall activity. So, and the plant shut down at around Thanksgiving. So that's going to be the end point of things.
I was just wondering because I was in West Cornwall on Saturday and about 5 or 6 people fell leaf peepers on the uneven pavement, and I just felt like it wasn't them to do it, in my opinion. But if that's when they normally pave, I mean, that's interesting information because I just felt like there were a lot
they did a lot of work in Kent, and did Route 7 from West Cornwall up to Lime Rock. So again, this is a lot of activity in our area for 1 year.
Okay.
So, and to do it, they won't do it again probably in an area for another 15 years. So,
Well, good to know they're doing it tomorrow so nobody else falls.
yeah, and they are avoiding the weekends. So in theory, there'll be what's called the put down. So they may have to come down to a finish coat
Okay.
next week, but at least it will be smoother than it is now.
Okay.
And a good thing to happen there. Anything, any additions to the agenda? The only one I had was the tree line bridge. So, any other additions?
No, not for me.
Priscilla, how are you? Priscilla?
No,
No additions? Okay, good.
the only thing, I did have a conversation with Vera last Thursday, and I was amazed. She had mailed out 355 absentee ballots, and she had already received back on last Thursday 228 of them, and 23 of them went outside the country. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we've already received back more ballots than normally get filed, so and we're 2 weeks out, so yeah. Okay, so next, first thing on our agenda is our top topic of the year is COVID-19 update. People may have read in the press, and we've been publicizing it. There are a few flare-ups in our region, notably at Gear Village, North Canaan Elementary School, and Kern Elementary School each had a case, as did Hotchkiss School. I heard tonight that Hotchkiss has just tested their student body and workforce, and on Sunday and the test came back negative. So again, I think there's been great work with the district, working on containment and contact tracing, all those things in coordination. Maria Horn worked on trying to get all the local officials together to coordinate information as much as anything else in the health district is geared up to do contact tracing has happened. But I think the fact that we had a couple of hot spots here that we didn't have in the spring shows in 3 nearby towns, shows it's out there. This is what Dr. Fauci and the other medical professionals have been saying. Might happen, will happen, happening. And we know as a country, we've matched the record we set at the peak this week. So again, our efforts are redoubled. The governor's been really good on the issue, but he acknowledges some of the spread is due to what they call fatigue, and people are tired. I'm tired of wearing the mask, but we decided last time that there's 2 people in an office, we're going to wear masks. Wearing masks. I mean, we're the only way we're going to beat this is by working together. And again, our crew is working on this, monitoring it. We've got, I've never seen the state and the regions and the municipalities work so well together. So we've got a good team trying to deal with this sensibly, scientifically. But again, it's up to individuals to do their responsibility to do the basics. Again, there is, it's out there, and we're going to continue to monitor it and provide as much info for people as possible. And again, that's one of the things on our agenda is the website, and communications are key. And whatever we get here, we will pass on to people, because there's not so much, but there is some national disinformation about this stuff. So I think it's very important people to know what is happening. As things change quickly, we'll let people know. So I think that's the biggest thing. Again, mask, social distancing, hand washing, and vigilant, and everything that can be done remotely should be done remotely. And that's about where we're at. There's one of the things the governor said on his conference this morning was you know, Europe has this pretty well under control, and now they've got a test rate in France of 30%. Connecticut has a test rate now of 1.7%. So again, they had it under control, and everybody got tired, and things, you know, things got a little casual, and then it comes right back. So it doesn't. Yeah. So again, I don't want to overdo it, but I don't want to underdo it either. So that's as much as I had. Any comments from the selectmen on this?
Well, there was also a case in the Lee Kellogg community as well,
Yeah.
as an addition to what you mentioned earlier.
Right. And I think I've said before, but I do talk frequently with our school principal, Mary Kay, and the cooperation amongst the TCS has been great. So again, maybe the kids will lead the adults into a better world. So again, she had only good things to say about cooperation amongst the staff, parents, and kids. So again, that's the best we can hope for, and things are happening. We help them with their outdoor classrooms. We've taken down the tents now so that the kids will not have tents, but they're still doing a lot of outside activities at Cornwall Consolidated. Anything else on that? Next, we have the November 20th annual town meeting call. We've gone quite a ways on this since our last meeting. I decided not to try to push to do the Cornwall wastewater management referendum this winter, but to move it into the spring for several reasons I'll discuss when we get down to that. So that also based on a conversation with the Torrent Area District, they said we did not have to do this outside as long as we did it in a large space that would allow for social distancing, require masks, have good ventilation, which I've talked to people again at the school, and we are set to do November 20th at the school. Also, it not being as controversial, it may not attract as big a crowd. And again, Jonathan is showing us there what the call's for. This is called the annual town meeting, and historically that's when we review the town plan, which not the town plan, but the town report, which Barbara Herbst, our financial officer, is assembling now, and every town board and commission and quite a few of the organizations have reports in there. And again, people can ask questions about what the board's been doing the last year, and this goes from June 2019 up to July 20. So it's not the current year we're in. But the only real requirement for that is that we have our audit done, and that has to be reviewed. So that happens, and we're also adopting a 5-year plan, which has been voted on by the boards of selectmen and the board of finance. The board of finance passed it last week at their meeting. So, then I'd make a motion that we would sign this town meeting call, which calls for the annual town meeting to be held at Cornwall Consolidated School. We'll have this in the gym on November 20th. That's a Friday night. And again, the thought was if we do it at night, if we don't have to have a big meeting, we can do it at night, and we do it outside. So we can do it at a more convenient time, which would be nighttime for people. We can do it on Friday instead of a Saturday. So people don't have to chew up their Saturdays with that. And we also file a thing called a return of notice that we sign. So the selectmen would have to come down to town hall in the next couple of days and sign these 2 documents, and then we would have a town meeting on November 20th. So I'll make a motion that we go ahead of that as drafted, and we can, there's a second, and we can discuss this whole procedure. If you want to discuss it.
I'll second that.
So is there any discussion?
Yeah. So is this live streamed as well?
At this point, we are not planning to do that. I can talk to the school if they can do that. There is no provision for having remote voting, remote meetings. So again, we could maybe we're certainly going to record it. Richard has volunteered to record it. We can record it, but there will not be like interactive debates and motion. People can't do things remotely if they, as far as I understand, you can't like have a hybrid real meeting. You can record it. You might be able to live stream it, but you can't have an interactive town meeting as far as I understand.
Okay.
So my thought at this point is we just have Richard record it, and if people want to come and, I mean, if they want to ask us questions ahead of time, they certainly can do that.
Yeah, I
Meeting.
just worry because a lot of our active town participants are, maybe on the older side, and I wouldn't want them to feel discouraged to participate because of health restrictions. I mean, so the gym what's the gym occupancy?
Well, I'm not sure what it is with everybody being 6 feet apart, but it certainly can accommodate more people spread out with 6 feet than we normally have at one of these meetings.
Okay, so you're saying one can be 6 feet apart in the gym?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be.
Okay.
Okay. So any other discussion on this new way of doing town meeting?
No, I guess it's our reality. So
Yeah, I mean, Warren had Friday night outside, a little brisk, but they're tough up there on the hill, I guess. So they did their business outside at the Warren Woods. We do have that option, but as we get into November, that may seem less and less like a good idea as we get cooler. Okay, so in favor of calling the annual town meeting with the set agenda that we talked about.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
So next we have the West Cornwall wastewater management referendum move to spring details. So at our last meeting, we agreed to investigate trying to have a vote of this in 2020 the best we could, knowing that we had restrictions on timing. We also had restrictions on the calendar because of holidays, and we felt the need to have a virtual meeting for people that didn't want to come out to a meeting. We had a town meeting, and then we have to have a referendum 2 weeks afterwards. So I did a bunch of work research talking to the relevant boards and authorities, and starting with the bond council, Joe Fozzie, who's done a lot of work for the town in the past, and we have to do this. We have to hire counsel because we have to borrow money legally, precisely. We can't just sort of wing it. So anyway, Joe's very experienced, and he did write up resolutions and had some ideas as far as things we had to do in order to this up to speed. So among those was talk to the Taunton Area Health District as far as what restriction put on town meetings, which we've talked about, and those were discussed. Also, we had to go to Planning and Zoning Commission to get their approval, and I did that a week ago tonight. So they gave a positive approval of the wastewater management program as detailed by WMC engineers at their last meeting. So that much is done. Then I also talked to the Board of Finance and brought them up to date. And again, doing a quick look at with Barbara Herbst, our financial office, the borrowing numbers seem like they fit pretty well with the town's overall bonding situation right now, and will dovetail pretty well into our bonding picture as we are hiring some debt in the next several years. So those all went, pretty well. And again, I think this is sort of a dry run of what we have to do in order to get this in front of the voters. We did, Joe also said that if we do put a flyer out or an insert in the Chronicle, people explaining the project, it's called an explanatory text, and he needs to review that, and then he even goes as far as review that past the State Elections Commission to make sure the town influencing the vote. We can say this project is beneficial for these things, but we have to be very neutral and make sure that we don't get carried away and influence the vote per state law. So again, that would take some time. So things began to unravel a little bit with that news, but that's the way things go. And then we did get out from the town clerk who felt that the burden of having people come into her office to apply for absentee ballots. For this, they have to do it in person in a municipal referendum. Rules are different than they are for the national election, where you can do that by mail. And so anyway, there's some details on how the absentee ballot team would work. And again, our election people are working really hard for a long period of time to try to pull off the national election. So it just seemed like it would just not be a great setup to try to push it. So again, we're going to take some time and look at a spring vote, because it doesn't look like March or February will be a great time to schedule meetings. People have to come out to a town meeting. People have to come out to vote. And that will give us time to research this so we can make the ballot issue as painless as possible and get our explanatory text reviewed by the proper people. And the town said he felt that would meet her concerns. So again, I think that we accomplished some things. We didn't get it pulled off in 2020, but I think it's probably better to get it done. Well, it's definitely better to get it done right than done quickly. So any other thoughts on all that from the board? That's sort of where we're sitting at this point, and I think that sort of that makes a lot of sense at this point to try to go with as far as we can, but not rush it.
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got along than we were 2 weeks ago, and then a lot of people are involved with these processes, which is a little different than maybe some businesses and things. But I think once all the stakeholders, this is better. This is sort of a better. I think we wound up in a better place. And we got some, we got some approvals lined up and some packs made, so we know more about the, the job ahead. Priscilla, any thoughts?
I like that we're taking our time with it. And really my thought was to push it through, but no, it's much more important to be slow and steady and very responsible. It's a lot of money going to be involved if we actually go forward with it.
Yeah, yeah, and spring is just around the corner, as they used to say. So there's still work to be done, and we'll keep people in the loop and try to proceed as best we can. So what's on all that from West Cornwall?
No.
Okay. Next we have the town report, which I drafted. And again, Barbara's working on that, so that will be available for everybody on November 20th, and we'll have it also available for people at the post offices. So any changes, anything, how does it look? I know there's a lot of things we did that didn't make the cut, but we're sort of trying to hit the high points, the most important things. Changes.
I think it looks good.
Yeah. Spun around a little bit for the time frame, but we try to hit the high points without being overly wordy.
Yes.
Okay, all set. So then I'll make a motion then that we send our annual report to Barbara Herbst, editor of the Cornwall Town Report.
A second.
Any discussion?
No.
Okay, so, and if anybody out there has great pictures of past events for the last year, let us know, or you can send them to Barbara or send them to our office, and we're also looking for some pictures to put in there to illustrate our activities. Okay, so next I have a report on interesting meeting we had with Eversource representatives following the mandate from the Public Utility Regulatory Agency that Eversource meet with every Connecticut municipality. So Emergency Director Diane Beebe and Highway Foreman Jim Bannicky and Fire Chief Fred Scoville and I sat down and had a very good meeting with Eversource representatives, their liaison people, and their people in the operations center. And we gave them a pretty thorough peek of the events of the storm and what we felt didn't happen, that should have happened, that need to happen next time, as far as having make safe crews here so people highway department can clear trees as safely as possible, and so the town can have real accurate information instead of robocalls. The power will be restored to town 48 hours before the trucks arrive. So again, we had plenty to talk about, and I don't want to put in too much, but it is recorded. And there, again, we look forward to having things under track next time as we head into winter. They did say that they have a whole unit now that's just going to be working on clearing trees. So again, there's 169 towns, of which probably 165 of them are town of Cornwall, so we have to be somewhat realistic in our priorities or our position in things. But again, there's room for improvement, and also I push to the liaison that we'll actually work with during the storm come out to Cornwall before the storm happens, so we have some understanding what the plans are and the capacity are as we move things forward. So again, we tried to be as practical as possible with our suggestions, and we will stay on that issue, as I know the legislature and the state regulators are working on this also. So any thoughts on that? Yeah, service your generators, and we put out an emergency plan to get people up to date with what we need to do for the next storm. Okay, next thing, zoning vacancies we have. There are 2 alternate positions available. Jim Carroll did resign his alternate position as he is very good things. We did get a request or a offer to serve by Christine Gray, who's I think very well qualified. We have 1 alternate right now who is Tommy Euclidito, but we need 2 more. So again, we don't have action right now, but I would propose that if we get, there are some people that have expressed an interest, and we'll try to get a list of people to act on the next meeting. And again, to keep that going. The last meeting, Anna Tamil was elected chair, replacing Jill Cutler, who unfortunately had to retire for personal reasons. And again, she will be very much missed by the committee. A lot to really steer them in a really positive direction. The Planning and Zoning Commission will have a hearing next month, I believe, on November 10th, on a couple of proposed amendments to Planning and Zoning Commission regulations that deal with such things as housing and home-based businesses. So they are moving ahead on some things, some initiatives that have been they've been working on all summer. So next, anything else on that? So we'll take action on that next, some action on that next time. Next, we did get a request from Ann Coffin on behalf of the Cornwall Library Association to have this, wonderful painting done by our Leisler in the 1920s of some very Cornwall citizens who are participating in making quilts for the Cornwall Relief Society, is the predecessor, the Women's Society, which now has a rummage sale, but I think it sort of epitomizes Cornwall's volunteer spirit and the need to socialize together. So again, the painting was given by the artist to the Women's Society, who felt they did not have a really good place for it. And so after many years, they gave it to the library, who didn't have room for time, and now requested it back. Currently sitting in our office. Much admired, but again, we do have a portrait also by Arlington Utzler of William Oliver hanging over the mantelpiece here in the office. So I think to put this sort of homespun art on display in the library is not, I mean, I think it's a good idea, and I think they're in the chain of title, so I have no problem in giving this back. And you know, as long as it's got a good place to display it, I think it's a good little thing. And there's John taking a picture of the ladies hard at work making a quilt. So then I'll make them that we return this painting as requested to the Cornwall Library for their display purposes.
I'll second that motion. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Marina, any thoughts?
I think it's great.
Yeah. Okay. So then, our main event on our program is the Cornwall website presentation. I see Rocco is there. And anyway, we've had a little talk in this last week, and we're all, I think we're very interested in your efforts, and again, appreciate the efforts of this volunteer group to update us. So take away, Rocco. You thought about a half an hour to get through everything and let us know. So we've gotten through most things on our agenda. So you've got the floor.
All right, great. Well, on behalf of the Cornwall Web Committee, I'd like to thank the town for giving us the opportunity to present tonight on the new Cornwall website. Tonight we're planning to kick it off just with a brief presentation and then jump into a live demo of the new site. We've been allotted 30 minutes and we'll be cognizant of everyone's time tonight. So thank you very much for this opportunity. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. And let's see. And can everyone?
Yes.
2.0 project here. So digital transformation first here. So a change is happening, a fundamental shift which is altering the fabric of society. Technology is changing the relationship between people, towns, and organizations. Just as elevators change the shape of buildings and cars have changed the shape of cities, data is changing. Data is changing the shape of organizations, be they towns, nations, or social structures. Expectations are also changing, and our committee has taken leadership in this role to really shape a bright future for Cornwall and our digital presence. It's not all about technology, however. It really comes down to making brands matter, staying relevant, and providing exceptional user experience. Now, to start off with a little bit of background, our website, cornwallct.org, is a fusion between the town and the local community, which I've said is a very Cornwall thing. You know, it really pays homage to the volunteering culture that we have in town. And it was actually quite ahead of its time, 2000, when all this was set up and put into place. And it's still ahead of its time in many ways, as I'll describe in a couple of slides later on. CornwallCT.org is operated for 20 years now, and it's administered by the Cornwall Web Committee, which is a subcommittee within the Cornwall Association. Now, our committee, it's a great cross-section of the community, including a couple of the founding members like Richard Griggs, who have really done a lot to keep the torch lit over the years. We also recognize some of the original luminaries of the groups, you know, such as Stenzer, David Grossman, and Norma Lake, who created and actualized this vision of the Cornwall Web for our town back 20 years ago. Here's the list of our current members. And it's great because we have, you know, professional web and marketing people on the team, along with lay people in the committee that know a lot about Cornwall and things like that. So it really is a great group, and, you know, we've worked really, really well together over the years. Now, let's talk about the project here. So over the past 2 years, the Cornwall Web Committee has been working on designing and replatforming the existing Cornwall Town Community site to the WordPress CMS. That stands for Content Management System. Now, just a quick intro to WordPress itself. WordPress is an open source website creation platform that's written in PHP and uses a Maya database. In non-geek speak, it's probably the easiest and the most powerful blogging and website content management system out there today. It has a number of benefits. I mean, I've been building on this platform for over 10 years now. And it has, you know, it's open source, it's free, and there's a lot of benefits when it comes to things like, you know, usability, the simplicity of the CMS itself, which makes it easy to update things, the over extensibility of WordPress. You know, there's thousands of plugins out there that you can hook into a site like this to do just about anything you could imagine. WordPress allows you to really customize your site, every pixel of it if you want, which is outstanding. And also SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. This means getting found by, you know, Google and other search engines and things like that. So the project scope, it's a large undertaking in terms of the scope and magnitude, as you can imagine, you know, just given the 20 years of the living history to migrate over to the new site, along with a lot of the new pages and that we've created for the new site as well. I think we're at around 400 hours into this project at this point over the last 2 years, which is certainly still. The project goals, we really started with the ambitious but attainable goal of building the best town website in the state. You know, we're focused on telling the story of Cornwall, you know, our land, our people, and our rich culture. We're also focused on better marketing the town in this increasingly digital age, you know, especially in the face of COVID-19 and things like that, which has just really continued to accelerate. You know, like this meeting is a good testament of that. A lot of things have gone on Zoom and things like that. So we're focused on that, and then also continuing on providing valuable service and utility to the local community about, you know, events going on in Cornwall. So in terms of the positioning from a marketing perspective of the new site, one is to position Cornwall as a terrific place to live, to raise a family, own a business, and to visit. Two would be to differentiate Cornwall from other communities in Connecticut and throughout, you know, really focusing on what makes us unique and different. Three would be to encourage families to move to Cornwall, and four would be to continue, you know, to promote Cornwall as a year-round recreational destination as well. So Cornwall has some assets that we can build on for a project like this, and it's really exciting. You know, we've got world-class scenery and abundant natural resources. We've got outdoor recreation in an adventurer's paradise year-round. We have our existing village centers. We've got a good ski mountain. We've got a historic and well-known covered bridge. great schools and a tight-knit community, and we have a thriving arts and cultural scene as well. So we have a lot of good things, you know, we can continue to build on with a site like this. So enter multi-channel. Now, most towns around, as most of you probably have seen, will often have a dusty looking kind of civic site. A separate visitor's website if they're lucky. Not every town around here is even going to have a visitor's site. Some of the larger towns around perhaps will. And community site, a website, which is really the heart and soul, is mostly non-existent across all of, you know, a lot of these other local towns. And that's what's really special, unique about our site. And that's what really makes it stand out in this sea of generic looking civic sites that you kind of see out there, you know, across other towns. And really what it boils down to is generally, you know, these disparate channels, you know, all these different websites that a town might have are very siloed, and they have very little interaction often with one another. And really it creates an inconsistent user experience across these key channels and really a disconnected architecture. You know, think of how convenient it would be for a town like us to have a separate civic site, a separate community site, a separate visitor site. You know, people don't want quarter-inch drills. They really want core goals. They really want one central place to get information quickly and efficiently with a consistent experience, you know, across the board. So while omni-channel, and that's what this new site is really focused on, where, you know, the civic portion, the community portion, and the visitors websites are combined, unified and consistent experience across these key channels. You know, we would be the first town in our area, perhaps in the first in the state, to really kind of bring this all together, really hit it out of the park for our citizens and for visitors of town and things like that, and people that want to learn more about Cornwall. So as you can see, this is kind of a good diagram, precisely what I'm talking about here, where, you know, you have all these separate, on the left here, you have all these kind of separate, you know, properties that are fairly disparate. And the idea here is to kind of bring it all in together as a unified experience across the board. Now, no conversation this could be complete without addressing the current visitor site that we have as well, which is another website. This is the Explore CornwallCT.com site. If you've looked at this site recently, it's transitioned into more of an EDC site, which is great. And we appreciate all the hard work that EDC does to make Cornwall a better place. The current Explore Cornwall site, again, is really more focused on, you know, getting people and businesses to move to town, but it doesn't have like a lot of visitor information, like a dedicated page, you know, about the covered bridge, a page that talks about, you know, Cornwall and Hawaii and the affinity that we share, you know, hiking, state parks, Cornwall by season, and other recreational opportunities and things like that. So the idea is to build a lot of that into the new cornwallct.org site while continuing to link to the EDC site when applicable for those like considering Cornwall or want to learn more about EDC and that. Now, in terms of, I'll be going over just a quick demo in just a minute, but we really wanted to kind of highlight some of the new some of the key features of the new site. So we've added a lot of new existing, or a lot of new pages and content related to our natural resources and visiting Cornwall. And we've continued to enhance many of the existing pages on the old site as well. You know, we have a new, more intuitive architecture and enhanced search capabilities, better optimization across all key devices and screens, such as smartphones, tablets, desktops, a new interactivity directory, greatly enhanced and more dynamic event calendar, a much easier and better streamlined backend management using the WordPress CMS, better delineation between the town and the civic portions of the website, which I think everyone can agree is a good thing, especially on this, to make that, just to have a clearer delineation between the two. Enhanced user experience, better SEO, faster and secure hosting through WP Engine, which is one of the top hosting companies for a WordPress site like this in terms of security and speed. Longer security in general, using a WAF is basically, it's a web application firewall, so that's that's enhanced security. We're going to SSL cert with encryption on the launch, so the site will be secure and encrypted. And also we're going to have the right compliance in place for a site like this, which includes GDPR, which is a European standard for compliance and data protection. Also some of the we'd also for some of the latest legislation from California as well, which is known as the CCPA. So at this, in terms of, at this point, we're really seeking an endorsement from the town for the project. You know, we really feel this is a keystone project for our town and then it's going to make an impact. We're also seeking feedback on the civic portion of the new site. In terms of compensation, we're currently working to address the committee so we don't kind of have the cart before the horse here. You know, I had started this project pro bono a couple years ago, and, you know, I was just really my intent in the whole thing, you know, was really to try to build the best town website and to do what's best for Cornwall. So compensation was really like my primary driver or anything like that for the project. So I just wanted to touch on compensation briefly. It's really about my love for the town and doing what's best for Cornwall. Training. So the new CMS is going to make it easy, and it's going to open up the potential for the town to be able to do their own updates on the section of the website as well, which is really exciting and would be really easy to do. In terms of timing, the goal is to have the new site launched by the new year, you know, which is great. And we've still got about 2.5 months left, and we're definitely still on pace to be able to launch by that point, which is good. Before I jump into the demo, any kind of questions or feedback in regards to the presentation or thoughts or anything like that?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Well, so this is kind of the main event here. So I will just reload the site quickly. We're still working on a lot of aspects of the site. It is kind of built now. There's still things to shore up, as you can imagine. But as you can see, we're going to lead with a nice big, you know, Cornwall lead in. We're going to welcome people to Cornwall. We're going to, you know, show our Cornwall tagline. We found a great kind of picture of the bridge. You know, that's something a little bit different and is attractive. You know, we're going to talk about Cornwall, you know, and give the opportunity to read more about our history here. We'll highlight like different bits going on here on the banners on the side. We've got a great slider here for like town news and notices. So this is a great kind of portion of the website where, you know, any new town items that get posted will be dynamically, you know, posted here. So you can slide through, you can click to see more town here. We've got a quick link section, which we certainly wouldn't show something like this, say on a mobile screen or anything like that. But this is a great way for like a desktop. So when people arrive at since town websites are pretty big and there's a lot of pieces, it provides people like a really good kind of landing point to perhaps drill into a certain topic or area that they want to explore, which is a good thing to have. We can do really cool featured stuff like the bears of Cornwall. We've had a lot of great photographers taking pictures of bears over the years. So we actually have a whole gallery here. You know, it's just a featured section of the bears of Cornwall. I'll show you that just because it's kind of fun. We've got pictures here, some great ones that, you know, Laszlo and others have taken over the years there. So we can do really cool stuff like that with the new site. We also have like a call to action here, new to Cornwall, meet some of the locals. So you can explore Cornwall and drill into the explore section here of the website. We've got a section here for Cornwall community news. So here basically any community news items that get posted here will get posted. So you can see we can do video posts and stuff like that. So all the great videos that Richard takes, we can embed those right from YouTube. And so you can click on this. Here was a Tim Prentice opening. Some of these are just placeholders until we kind of get stuff current before the launch, but you know, you can do all kinds of cool stuff here. All right, so moving on. Also too, the event calendar is a really exciting thing. We're a great strategy about, events and being dynamic here. So, we can show different events. We can show a calendar view of that. You submitted an event. So say I want to look at the Run and Wag, which has gone virtual, see that event. So, here's an example of like an event page that we can even do a countdown, link to the website. If it's a Zoom meeting, we can throw in the, the Zoom link and stuff like that for it. I'll show you the calendar view in a minute. Beautiful Cornwall, as you remember with our new site, we've got a lot of great photographers in town. So this is kind of an area where when people send we can post them, and you can click into one of these. You can also see the Cornwall gallery of the 500 images that have been posted over the last 20 years, which is cool too, there. Then at the homepage, we're going to lead in, with a really great quote and just something that seems like it just summarizes Cornwall more beautifully than just about anything else, probably. Then we're going to move into our footer, which should be shared across all the pages. So we can show like a feature to show the upcoming events, show the latest town news items, the latest community news. We've got a great drone video here to explore the covered bridge, which is raw. We talk about considering Cornwall as a great place to live, things like that. So, that's that. Looking at a mobile thing like that, you're going to see a site like this is just going to look absolutely fantastic. Say on a new, iPhone 10, for instance, let me just reload it quickly. So it's going to look, great on a new iPhone 10 or really any kind of mobile device here, as you can tell. And, the navigation is very excellent for a site like this. It's really easy to, to find your way around and to navigate the site, which is great. We have extremely powerful search functionality for the site too. It uses the best live search engine available for WordPress. So, say I want to, an obscure bridge dance, from 2013 or something like that. And that's another cool thing is we've migrated all the content from 20 years. So I'm going to look for a bridge dance, for instance. And, you search for that here. Oh, look, bridge dance 2018. Wow. And you can see we've got all of this great legacy content from, over the years. Say I want to search, I'm really looking for a town regulation. So I start typing in, regulations. Oh, town regulations. Here's a page all about that. So really powerful search functionality. We've got a few, so I'll just give you a tour of a couple other cool pages. As you can see, we've got the government section and the civic portion of the site. We've got a section here for town news and notice, show the latest. Board of Selectmen's meetings. We have a section for minutes and agendas as well. We have a page devoted to, town leadership. We talk about how the Board of Selectmen is the executive arm on our town, and it's common in small New England towns. So we've got all of that, links to the town hall, it's even a federal and regional page, where we talk about, our state and officer, senators and governor and, things like that, which is great. So let's show you some community stuff really quick. We've got a section for coming events, which is great. So with coming events, there's a number of different ways we can show events, like the ones that are coming, like the 5 that are coming up, soon. And then we can also do like a calendar view like this, which is really cool too, where it's a very visual based calendar where, you can click on it and go read more about it. We'll also show like latest Cornwall news as well there in case people. We've built a Cornwall classified into this. We've got all kinds of great other pages. We've got a page, for instance, about like community network and, how that's a great place for like public dialogue and discussion on Groups.io. We talk about, how to join it and where to go in that. Explore is probably my favorite section of this site. So again, this is building like a lot of the cool visitors site type of stuff. So let's just show you the dedicated page for the new Cornwall Bridge. So as you can see it, here's the West Cornwall covered bridge page, which is going to be a big draw. You can see a great full screen drone video here, and if you want, and check that out. We talk about the history of the bridge. We give people the opportunity to share it. Visiting the bridge, we welcome people to visit the bridge. We talk about relevant things like how the bend's now open, which provides parking and river access, which is great. We show where that is. And then we also highlight local businesses in West Cornwall too. I've still got to add some more to this, but as you can see, it's to highlight local businesses. We've got a bridge gallery here where we show some of the great pictures of the bridge. And then we'll have like a call to action, like check out the Trinity Trail, for instance, which is a great, hike along the river. We've built a Cornwall by season, a page for shopping Cornwall, which I'm still working on, and it has all the different places, you can shop in town. I'm still kind of adding more to this as I go. One really cool page, I think we've got a couple more minutes. One really cool page I wanted to show you is Cornwall in Hawaii. As many of you know, Cornwall shares a unique affinity with Hawaii, from the school days and things like that. So, we talk about some of the different places like in Cornwall Village, and we show historical pictures. This was the original Foreign Mission School main building. We'll show the plaque. We'll show you, how it's centered in Cornwall Village. We'll talk about the Cornwall Cemetery and how Obakaya's remains were, original remains were there. Until in 1993 when they were brought back to native Hawaii by basically by his relatives. So we've got great pages there. I've also been working on building a page, for cycling in Cornwall, which is cool. We're in the early phases of this, but, we talk about how Cornwall is a great place for traveling on two wheels because of a lot of our quiet country roads. And I've been working with Terry to build out some of the common routes that we can kind of map to and things like that. So we're going to continue to enhance that. Couple more quick pages, now 2 minutes left. Quick Cornwall facts. This is a really good kind of cool Wikipedia type of introduction to Cornwall that we're building. So, we're talking about our history, some demographics, when we were incorporated, principal communities, showing a map of our town, quotes, talking about the different notable people, like Ethan Allen or General Sedgwick. Things like that. I'm still going to add more to this. We have our old pages, which are really great, which really tell the story of Cornwall, like the people of Cornwall. So we've got that there. Just for Cornwall authors. We've built in a full dynamic business directory here, which is really awesome. So you can actually, if you're a new business or something like that, you can actually listing to us and we can review it on the back end and publish it. You can search by keywords, am I looking for a contractor, select the location, different categories. We have it pinned on the map, to show different things. So, for instance, if I'm looking at agriculture and farm, you can see full screen map here, where you can click and find, all the farms to kind of read more. And this is true with all the businesses in town. There's different views you can do with this as well. You can click into one of these and see a whole profile, about the business. You can see where they're located, quickly get directions to the location via Google, great things like that. Another section we've been working on is How Do I, which is kind of a quick reference section. How do I pay my taxes online? How do I know if the transfer station is open? Which, believe it or not, is a very thing. A lot of people come to the existing site to try to figure out the number to the transfer station and to figure out when it's open. So we've taken a lot of the Google Analytics and stuff like able to get from the site to really turn it into actionable data for us to really try to provide as much service as we can to the community with some of the most common questions like, how do I add an event, or how do I find upcoming events in town, and, things like that. So it's certainly still a work in progress, but we have a lot of work kind of do with the project. But as you can see, the new site is coming out really well. And, we just couldn't be more excited about this. And I think that's kind of what I wanted to say tonight. Does anyone else in the Cornwall Web Committee want to have any other kind of comments or things like that? Okay.
Well, I'd just like to say how it's been a pleasure working with you, Rocco, and you've done so much work, and I think it's going to be a fabulous site.
Yeah, it's been a labor of love, that's for sure.
Can you hear me? It's Louise here.
Yes, Louise.
Yep.
Hear me? Okay. I guess I'm one of the lay people on the committee, and from my perspective, having seen how Rob has run with this ball for the last 2 years, and just hearing Rocco again tonight is so inspiring. He's harnessed technology. Those of us just looking at it can maybe appreciate, and more than that, I think the passion for Cornwall has come across very well, and it's been wonderful working with this committee between Rocco and Laszlo and Richard, who are the technical people, and then the rest of us, and I should say as well, and Kara. But it's really been a great cross section of a committee, and I'm thrilled to be part of it, and I think it's very exciting for the town.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rocco.
Yeah, I thought that whole presentation was incredible. I did look at some other town sites which are compared to this. I think this has a lot of depth to it. I'm not a techie by any stretch of the imagination, but it certainly makes a lot of the sense of Cornwall comes through on this site. It is unique, and I think that is a pretty Cornwall trait, is to try to do things in somewhat unique ways. But just the appeal of the site is pretty amazing there, and combining a lot of elements which you won't get. I don't think you get those on an off-the-shelf website. My only thought is how, and I like the fact that by WordPress it would be easier to maintain, because Rocco has put a lot into this, but I also want to make sure as much as possible that this would be this is an easier to main site. And so that's one thing for, I guess that's a question for the committee, and then there's a question for John Barry too, sort of our link with the website. And again, under COVID, we're putting more and more stuff up. Information is becoming much more important to have a strong site and to have a two-way flow of information. So I think a couple of questions there. One for the committee as far as ease of maintenance, and the second one for John as far as ease of use from a standpoint. What do you think?
So I'd be happy to take the first question. So yeah, basically site is WordPress. It's extremely easy to use. You don't need any technical prowess or anything like that to be able to do updates on the site. If you can use Microsoft Word, for instance, you can make updates on behalf of the town in a site like this. Just to show you how easy it is, I want to add a new post. I'm going to add a new post. I'm going to call it Town Test Post. So as you can see, it's Microsoft Word. You've got an editor here. So this goes under Town News and Notices. I'll just set a featured image for it here. Hold the place. All right, publish it. It's that easy. Now, if we look at the front end of the site, we're going to see that we just posted on the town portion of on the civic portion of the website. So let me just go back to the front end here and show you. And we can also provide training. So as you can see, there's that town post. That's the beauty of this, is we made this very simple and dynamic and super easy to update and to use. That was really what we strive for with the site. And we can definitely provide any kind of training to the town office, CMS and things like that. And I think it will be a great way to continue the great relationship that we've built over the years with the website.
I guess another part of your question, Gordon, this is Louise here, was regarding the maintenance of the website, and going to just mention that in terms of the cost of the software for the new website, and correct if I'm wrong, Rocco, but obviously there are costs anyhow associated with any website, but all of the software for what we're planning for this year is roughly $650. We are requesting that amount through the Cornwall Association and a grant to the Cornwall Foundation. So that if we get that grant would take care of the first year of maintaining the site. And that's something that, you know, on an ongoing basis, I think we need to think about the yearly, you know, the annual cost of maintaining this website.
Yeah, we're just about to start into our budget for next year talk. And I mean, to me, this is a real important part of the community. So we can incorporate things into next year's budget more than we can do things instantly. But in my mind,
yes,
I mean, the product you're looking at here compared to what is commercially available is not this, you know, this is so much deeper than what you can get off the shelf, I think. But
I mean, to that point, I think this conversation then has to be larger. And I was told by a committee member that that this is maintained and updated by volunteers, and that the town has known this site. And so I'm happy to be involved as a town. I think it's outstanding what Rocco did. But then I think that we have to have a conversation about what this looks like. You know, if it's not a public website versus if it is, who's involved, who isn't, for what. I think that's a much bigger conversation.
okay. John, do you have any comments from the seat there?
I think it looks awesome. I'm looking forward to posting something on it at some point, an agenda and some minutes. Thanks.
Just to make clear, Louise, again, what I was talking about is the cost of the software. It's not expecting volunteers to pay for the cost of the software needed for this website. And that amount is currently given all the different bells and whistles and the needed software, actually, not bells and whistles, is about $650. That's a separate issue for the software to keep this website, to have this website up. It's not, in this instance, we're not compensation for a volunteer at this point.
No, I understand that. I just do feel like if town money is going into site, I do think the board and the committee can work together to really hammer out all the specifics. I just think that's a wise decision.
Yeah, I think what you're looking for us now is sort of a general endorsement of the layout, the change, the presentation. There are other things. There's, you know, responsibilities. This is the official town website. This is still a private, you know, or community website, however we want to see it. But I think as far as what you're looking tonight is, do we like the look and the improvements? I think that's sort of what you're asking us.
Yes, I would say so.
And there will be, as anything else, there will be details to be explored and things. John, did you have any other thoughts?
No. I really enjoyed the presentation.
Yeah, it was an amazing presentation, Rocco. Good job. And everybody.
Yeah, I just think well, I shouldn't say this, but it makes Cornwall look better than it looks like in real life. I mean, it's like a place that I really want to go to, you know.
It really does. It's amazing.
And there is sometimes we do we lose track of that big picture. Sometimes you have to go away for a while to appreciate what's here. But
Yeah.
it does sort of highlight this things on a very high level of presentation. Very hard to do for such a small little thing, place. So again, and how we present ourselves, important in a lot of ways, because there is a lot to draw people here, and we have, there's more people here than there was last year. It's been sort of a rebirth of the town in a lot of positive ways, and we want to sort of keep that going. And I think this is pretty important to that. So you got the whole like appeal and how you present yourself, but also the ease in which we communicate to each other, because we can't have gatherings for the near future and things. So having something that ties us together easier, better, whatever, there's I see a lot of benefits here.
I think it looks just beautiful. It makes you really appreciate what we have, and seeing it this way, we can share it with comers or people that we're trying to sell a piece of property to. But it's stunning, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's really artistically done, I think.
Very
Yeah.
tasteful.
And what I like about your group too is it's not just one person doing this, because again, we can talk to Kara or Laszlo or whatever. So I think you have some, overlap of things. I think sometimes, I think that, so there's more than one person that can look at this. And again, we've got a pretty good system set up now as far as get you information or posts and trying to keep that all current. I think we can transfer that ability onto this.
Yeah, I think it's a very holistic approach, the committee, and working with the town and other community members.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, well done. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for your time tonight, Selectman, and yeah, we'll look forward to getting on the conversation. So thank you very much.
So
Thank you, Rocco.
yeah, one question came up is what is the ongoing of the site, and is it manageable between what resources you have now or the resources the town? Do you have any, yearly operating budget numbers, or is that for another day?
Well, what we have just so far is the software that
Right.
Rocco has given us as our budget for this year.
Yeah,
And
exactly. So basically between the hosting, main renewal fee, the software fees, a site like this is going to be about $650 a year when everything's said and done when it comes to costs.
Right. And another question came up is who's in charge of keeping this updated and so it doesn't get to you Rocco's word, dusty. We already have, but you want to answer that? We have a group that's pretty good on keeping things relevant, but is there an official answer to that question?
Yeah, with our committee, we have Kara, was our webmaster, and we have several other people on the committee that are, technical people, that would be willing to chip in to kind of keep fresh and continue to do updates. Richard Griggs, for instance, has really been one of the pivotal people. Him and Laszlo and Kara have done a lot of the update over the years in different aspects of the site. So I think we've got a great team to be able to kind of handle the updates and to keep it fresh, because really with a community of such a community site like this, you want to keep it fresh with content and keep feeding it with content, events, videos, things like that from the community.
And brainstorming about it too.
Great. Yeah, no, I like the mix of people on your committee. Yeah. And anyway, excellent, Rocco. And can the board give you all a thumbs up at this point? Thumbs up? Thumbs up?
Yes,
Thumbs
yes,
up.
yes,
Thumbs up.
absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you for doing all this, and we'll be in touch. And we're getting thumbs up from other folks too. Great. Okay. Very
Thank you.
good. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Okay, so next on our bridge projects, we have talked about this for several meetings. At our last meeting, we did talk about some options available to town at the Cogswell bridge site, and it was a general consensus that we would incorporate discuss options in our next, when we start looking at budgets and work to be done next spring. I just want to confirm that was my thought of where we're at this point. Is there any other thoughts? Again, we're going to start our budget discussions and work schedules for the new year, and that seemed to be the appropriate time to talk about what we're doing for the coming construction season, as this one's well done at this point. Any other thoughts of that?
So the idea is to discuss possible Cogswell as we're budgeting.
Yeah, because we're going to have to do, in order to do it, to do work, we have to, we're going to get, we know 3 or 4 other bridges we have to do some maintenance work on, so we're going to have to do a work proposal, do a scope of work, and then at this point we can include.
So would it be prudent to have options prior to the budgeting process with numbers attached to them so that we can hear feedback, we decide on anything?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to do all that. Yeah.
How will we get, so once we start doing that and stuff, what's the process of getting feedback? Just by letters to us, or?
Yeah, I think first we'd look at some possible alternative ways, and we talk to Roger about the work that's already being, that's called for an engineering report on the other bridges, so we get a work package together and we start looking at some things.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, I think that's a good plan.
Okay, Priscilla, any other thoughts?
Nope.
Yeah, and so actually this would be, a scope of work we go out to bid in the spring or whatever, and because we already bonded for money, this would not be directly part of the budget process, but would happen pretty much at the same time of year.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so next we're on to the connectivity study. And I did have an email exchange with Gary and he did remind me that the group had sent us an update of their work in September, which with everything else going, did not thoroughly comprehend all that. So they have sent us an update, which I have sent on to the board. It has what they've done, what they're doing, what their plans are for the future. And it did, like, the next big thing is going to be a survey of current conditions. And Marina was mentioned as a co-conspirator on that. So do you have anything to add to that, or?
I am not a co-conspirator. I am a liaison.
Okay.
I'm there to lend support to the group. They are in the process of finalizing a draft survey. Gary, you can interrupt me if I'm in. I believe that's the stages that they're in. And I'm going to look at it and review it before it comes to the board. It seems like they're doing a process within their committee to try to put the right questions to a survey on the connectivity needs of the town. So that's what I look forward to seeing next.
Great. So I appreciate that clarification that you're liaison. So will we see the survey before it goes?
Oh, yes. I think that's the plan, indeed, to have the board.
When are you shooting to? Is that early next year?
Well, we're actually going to have a meeting, a Zoom, just to go over the draft of the survey. And Gary, you can chime in when you're hoping to have that finished.
Yeah, the the committee will finalize its version. We'll share it with you, Marina, see your thoughts. Gordon, to answer your question, if all goes well, we hope to send out the survey to all of Cornwall in the beginning of January, and then collect and collate all the responses.
Thank you.
Great, that seems to be a next logical step. Baseline is here. So any other thoughts, communications? Priscilla, what do you think?
I think it's really an important project Gary is heading up here. And I know that we have a lot of dock spots, so to speak, in the Cornwall. And when I'm dealing with people who are relocating up here, that's a frustration. So I really appreciate all the effort and planning, reviewing and assessing that's going on. It could not be more important, Gordon.
Okay. Well said. Anything else you want to tell us, Gary, where you're at? I think it's pretty clear.
No, that's the crux of it right now. You know, there are directions the committee is pursuing at this moment, but the core key one right now with Marina is to get the survey finalized and together so that when it's sent out, there's also communication about the Cornwall Internet Expansion Committee. There should be an article in the Republican American shortly. There will be one in the Lakeville Journal in December, as well in the Cornwall Chronicle, about this initiative and specifically about the survey. So it's the survey itself, it's why are we doing this? What does it mean for Cornwall? And why the feedback is so crucial.
Yeah, I'd urge you, you could even distribute it by the Chronicle as an insert or something if you consider that. Because that be, even in the digital age, it's hard to beat the distribution through the Chronicle. So, with the Chronicle or whatever. So, anyway.
I think they're up to speed on that from what I've understood.
Yeah. Good. All right. Anyway, thank you for your efforts. I think that's a pretty good summary where that's at. So now, are there any public comments? You want to unmute everybody, John? Or? Okay.
I'd like to make a comment on Astro.
Yes.
So basically, my concern with the committee, but not just even beyond the committee, that basically the plan of Northwest Connect that Northwest Connect is promoting, there's a real danger that the Northwest Connect will basically bring financial ruin to the town. There are several examples of municipal networks failing. I read a study about it, and I've been speaking to people in the governor's office and a cable expert who designed the telecom systems for this area. We're talking about numbers such as Provo, Utah, it sold its system for $1 and it had $39 million. Marietta, Georgia, sold its system for $11 million at a loss of $24 million. And even the governor's office, the person I was speaking to, pointed out a case closer to home, which is Groton, Connecticut, which in the 90s faced a similar situation. Burlington, Vermont just defaulted on its indebtedness. So I don't think that's really being made clear enough by Northwest Connect, the real risk that this network that Northwest Connect is promoting poses to the town. And the reason it's even based at times municipal networks that are succeeding, but the real difference between those networks and our area is that we have 3 cable providers in our area, one of which provides our service. And so any municipal network would be in direct competition with that cable provider. And that cable provider would all cable television, which any municipal network we do, according to Northwest Connect's plan, and really anyone, it's way too complicated to provide cable. So we wouldn't have cable television. And so if we couldn't get subscribers, if Optimum was undercutting its costs so that people joined them, if people wanted to keep their cable television, then basically the town would go bankrupt. And so this is what I don't think is being made so clear. And the thing is that basically, it doesn't seem like a big deal in a certain way. That's how I thought when I first read about it. I said, so, let Northwest Connect promote itself. The town would ultimately make that decision and the townspeople would vote on it. But what you start to see is that Northwest Connect needs the support of towns like ours to get the funding that it's been getting at the regional level and just generally. And so Northwest Connect so far has received all of the funding that's been regional area for broadband. And that's to the tune of already $500,000. So it's preventing us from kind of getting money that might have to do with broadband to improve broadband more immediately. And it's also meaning that our town is not doing anything to improve broadband health. And right now, there's a big push in the governor's office to get, they have I said it at the last meeting too, they have a real possibility because of internet providers being kind of considered essential businesses to put a lot of pressure on them to do rollout, to finish their rollouts. And also they're like getting hardware to the kids, and they want information from our towns about what we need from them to improve our services with our cable providers. And when we're focusing on Northwest Connect, we're doing a real disservice to the town because we're not providing any of that information or giving them, trying to get improved activity with Optimum. Even I spoke to someone at Optimum who said they could roll out those last 4 homes on River Road that need it. So my general thing, we're putting, with all the focus being on Northwest Connect and a fiber optic network, that we're ignoring things that could be done immediately, and we're taking advantage of that initiative that's happening at the governor's office, and that we should be really wary of, and basically funding is going to them, going to other things, and we're talking about a plan that could bankrupt the town. So that's basically what my concern is.
Okay, thank you. Any other communications?
If you need to unmute yourself to speak, sorry.
Okay, any hard questions from the press? Okay. All right, with that, then, I think we've got through our agenda. Thank you all.
So one more quick thing. There's a survey, just as a helpful point. Region 1 is doing a survey of the internet that the Sharon, Connecticut started, and Sharon said that Cornwall could participate. Basically, that they could use that survey, and they'd be happy to, provide assistance with that.
Well, maybe you can get a copy to us and we can pass it on, see what other people have done. It's all interesting.
I've seen a copy of that.
You already got a copy?
The Internet Committee also has a copy of that.
Okay. That's okay.
Right, Gary? Isn't that what you're using as your, yeah?
Yes. Basically, what was just presented about the survey is they did a survey for Sharon. We have taken theirs and embellished it and changed it to fit Cornwall. The results of the Sharon survey are not being used nor intended to be used for Cornwall. It's not a survey, it was for Sharon, and end of that.
Well, the Sharon committee told me that a place online you can go to through Region 1 to submit your answers to the survey, and that all the towns in the area, you can choose your town, like you could choose in Cornwall and provide your answers that way. So I think there is something possibly available. It may be that Sharon joined in with that effort, but I think there's an urban survey in place that Cornwall residents could respond to, and it would show up as being Cornwall.
Okay. So, last chance, public comment. Okay, thank you all for us, and at the start, don't forget to vote, and we'll see you again election night.
Wow, already.
There you go, 2 weeks. All right, thank you all. So motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right, and all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Okay, take care, folks.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Stay well.
Yeah, thanks again,
Be well.
Rocco.
Yep.